Before we get started with this episode, we have a major favor to ask you.
If you could subscribe, like, and comment, especially with somebody that you'd love to see on the show, we would really appreciate that, and it would be amazing.
This helps us more than you know. In fact, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, and that is our goal, we are going to choose 2 of you to come to our very first Shoreline Show meetup with our team and our past guest.
And if you want more of the Shoreline Show, you can get on us on all the major audio podcast platforms.
Now, let's get on to the next episode. So I want to change courses a little bit. So I don't know when it was. It was a few years back, I think, that you got in that accident.
Oh, no. Hard to bring that up.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't a few years back. It was a year ago.
It was a year ago.
We're coming on a year and a half.
Yeah.
Such an odd...
Yeah.
I mean, I think about it now and I can't believe it even happened.
Yeah.
So get this. It's so ridiculous. I get embarrassed even talking about it. So we're on a tour. We're on I think it was a 5-week tour, 4-week tour. We were with Five for Fighting.
Yeah.
That band. So we're playing all over the country, basically, with those guys. We're probably the 4th or 5th gig in. We're coming from... we played somewhere in Chicago or maybe it was Wisconsin, and we had to get to Pennsylvania in 2 days. So we had a day off for travel. Mm-hmm. And these were all driving gigs. So usually we do a big Sprinter van. Mm-hmm. We don't do tour buses anymore just because he gets stuck having to sleep in those. So we have a deal with Marriott. So we just stay at all the nice Marriotts.
Nice.
But we drive in a Sprinter van, it holds our gear, and we have a driver. So we were taking this long, 12, 13 hour drive.
Yeah.
So we leave. We're getting through. We've been driving for 8 hours. We're somewhere in Dubois, Pennsylvania. I remember that because that's where the accident happened. Mm-hmm. We get out at a pilot station and getting our snacks, kind of jumping around. It's probably like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, jumping around, just trying to get some blood flowing.
Yeah.
And our drummer, Zach, he's much younger than me. We're talking, oh man, we should do run up and down the parking lot. Oh my, yeah, let's do a race. That was my idea. Let's do a race. This young kid, I'm a runner, so I'm pretty confident running, but not like a race runner,
Right.
But I'm a little cocky, whatever. This kid's not gonna outrun me.
You're gonna smoke him.
Yeah, I'm gonna smoke him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, let's run to that garbage pail at the end of this huge parking lot. There's no cars or anything there, and run back. And so we had this whole thing. It was going to be like a TikTok video. So one person had the clock set and the video going and go. We get going and he's kind of ahead of me, and I start pushing forward, and I slip on the rocks. It was like little loose gravel. So I felt my momentum going forward.
Oh gosh.
And I'm going all out, and I feel my momentum going forward. But instead of turning to fall, I just did this. I lifted up my hands because I didn't want to hurt my hand.
No, you're
I fell on my chest, right?
Yeah.
But when I fell on my chest, my head comes down and hits bottom of my chin. So of course I'm like, I didn't get knocked out, but I came up and I'm like, I could tell my front tooth is chipped. And I have this tremendous pain in my jaw. It felt like my jaw was dislocated.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it back because I could feel my teeth were
not
forward.
Right.
They were forward. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm just sitting there and I'm bleeding now. From everything's bleeding. And everyone's freaking out. And then no one knows what to do. We're in Dubois. What do we do here? And so I sit back on the edge of the van, and all of a sudden I started going into shock. I was all white. I didn't end up passing out, but I guess I was saying gibberish stuff. And you need to go to the hospital. I'm like, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, no joke.
And all I could think about was how are they going to if something's dislocated,
You don't want them to break it back.
They're going to break it back. So I'm thinking that's all I'm concerned about, because I'm thinking that's all that's going on. Like my jaw's out of whack.
I would be too.
And
I would think the same thing.
And I was like, can you guys give me, I'm in the ambulance, can you give me something before you do this? And they're like, well, we got to take x-rays first. I'm like, so we get to the hospital, and I get the MRI thing, and the doctor, this creepy old doctor, comes up. He's like, well, you need emergency surgery. You broke your jaw in 3 places.
Oh my God.
And you need emergency surgery. And I'm like, what? You're not going to just like shove it back? And no, it's broken. Like I was broken right here and broken right here.
Oh my God.
And you need emergency surgery. And the doctor's creepy. And I mean, I hate to say anything bad, but he had no teeth. So I'm like, why? I don't want this guy.
So I want to follow this guy that can't even fix his own teeth type of thing.
My friend Channing, who's the background singer in the band, she kind of like took over, and because I couldn't talk and stuff like that, and I couldn't make sense of what was going on. She's like, well, does it need to be done right now? Can he have this done in Grand Rapids, where he's from? And the doctor's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but I guess so. And he just he was trying to like sell me.
Of course, they want to make money. Yeah.
And it's Dubois, which there's not a lot going on there.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying?
And you're
A small town, a little hick hospital.
Yeah, so she calls my wife, and it's still, Rebecca's got to come pick me up. The band's got to keep going.
Oh God.
Basically, Brian, the singer, was like, so what are we gonna do, man? Like what do you think? I'm like, well, you guys got to keep going. I'll have my wife Rebecca come pick me up, 7-hour drive from Grand Rapids, pick me up, and go from there. I'll have the surgery, and I'll be back on the road. And of course, they're rolling their eyes like, yeah, you're not going anywhere. You're going to be at home, and we're going to finish the tour. So I ended up having one of my friends fill in for me, who plays at Daybreak as well, and Justin. So he filled in for me, thankfully, and got home, had the surgery, and then my mouth was wired shut for 6 weeks, but I was determined to get back on the road. So a week and a half later, I was on the road with...
A week and a half into the 6? Or after the 6?
After the surgery. So a week and a half after the surgery.
So your mouth is wired shut, and you're playing.
I'm playing.
You're nuts.
I know, and that's what the band said. I was nuts. And the Fight for Fighting guys are like, why are you here? What's going on? And you can see all these pictures online. And that was exactly, there's a picture of me doing that. Like, you can see like the wires. And because I felt fine. I felt perfectly fine. That was...
How'd you eat? Through a straw or something?
Yeah. So I had the tooth that was chipped. They didn't have to take out. Normally, they would have to take out a tooth to get a straw in there.
Yeah,
but I had enough room to get a straw in there, and I mean.
So, what do you eat?
So I was pretty
ground up Big Macs. I mean,
no. So I don't.
Kidding,
the other thing is I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat like meat, right? So, but I eat eggs and stuff like that. So a pescatarian.
Yeah.
So I tried everything that I could fit through a straw,
Anything
and it was
protein.
Like anything protein. So it was mainly shakes, all the time. Because I was trying. The other thing too, I was trying not to lose weight because I was already like thin and losing. I can't afford to lose 20, 15 pounds.
Right.
I ended up losing 14 pounds.
Yeah,
and that's with eating shakes every
protein,
20
just pounding down the protein
shakes.
And shakes.
I figured out how to do.
So in 6 weeks you lost that?
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, if you want to lose weight fast,
just
I guess get your wire jaw, wired shut.
Sounds
for
like
a while.
Plan.
Yeah. No, I don't recommend it. But what was amazing about that is once I had the surgery done, so it was about 3 days in the hospital before they even scheduled me here at Spectrum. Right. Great doctors and everything.
We have great doctors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great. Everything was great, and they told me what they were going to do, and I'm like, okay. Well, they kept postponing it day after day, and I still had this pain. It was like a constant pain. Like my jaw is dislocated, and my teeth are kind of forward. My bottom teeth are forward. So I was again eating through a straw, but I could move my mouth and talk.
Yeah. So
as soon as I was done with the surgery, when I came out of it, and I thought it might have been the drugs, like there was literally no pain.
Really?
No pain at all. And from that point on, I did not have any pain.
That's crazy.
Really?
It is crazy. And,
wow.
And it was, like a miracle. I don't know. As it go from that much pain, which was the worst pain in my life.
Right.
Of course, I never really broke anything before in my life, so I guess I can't relate to it.
And it was broken. It wasn't like just fractured or anything
it was
like
like
that.
I have X-rays online. I think you could still see them, but total break here, like broke, and then fractures here.
Oh God.
So did they get, random question, is they get that whole thing on TikTok because you were filming it?
No. So the band was so devastated.
They deleted it?
Yeah. They didn't actually do anything with it. And Channing, I think, is the one that had the stop clock, and she was the one that said, go. It wasn't until that night when they finally got checked in the Pennsylvania, when they got to the hotel late.
They watched
really late.
it?
No, that she realized that she left the timer on from the start of the... I mean, it was so devastating.
Yeah.
So do you have any is there any problems now from it or no?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Wow.
It's like 100%.
So are you going to be racing anybody anytime soon?
No, not at all. It's funny.
You got hands now?
Yeah, we'll post stuff online, like TikTok and stuff like that, and when we're on the road because we're so bored. It's like the hurry up and wait thing.
Yeah.
So, and those guys will have me do stuff just to get people like,
Yeah.
don't have him do that. He's gonna break something. Like, I'm doing some chin ups on like this clothes rack, and people are like chiming like, no, he can't do that. He's gonna break something because everyone thinks I'm now accident prone. I'm like, maybe, but I just think it was like when people ask me that, I'm like, I think it's my childhood of just being so stuck at home, not stuck at home, but stuck in my basement, practicing guitar all the time, and not playing sports or anything, even though I wanted to play sports, but my mom wouldn't let me play football because I was too small, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I never broke anything.
Yeah.
So I never had issues like that until, like, of course, it happens when I'm an adult.
Right.
Which is probably the worst
I
thing
always
to
say
do.
with my middle child, everybody's like, he gets hurt all the time. I go, it's kind of like a badge of honor a little bit. Because I look at it as in people that do things are going to happen. The person that sits in your basement and plays guitar all day long isn't going to get hurt.
Right.
The person that's out doing tours and running and probably jumping off stage has a higher percentage of getting hurt. So, it's just a fact.
It is a fact.
It's going to happen.
And why that happened to me, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean... It happened, and it's just like it was a nightmare. And one day I will write, because there were so many weird things that were happening in that little hospital when I'm just kind of in and out of being drugged up and stuff like that. I was witnessing going on. It was bizarre and freaky, and I tell people about it, like some of the stuff that was going on. I'd wake up and I'd just
you've seen things, or what?
Like weird people, like crackheads and stuff like that, being escorted through, because I had my own like little waiting room, and I was just being heavily like sedated because I was so much pain. But the door would be open. I'd hear people screaming in the middle of the night, and I'm like, am I just hallucinating? What's going on? And I'd see like some cop taking some meth head or junkie, and then the junkie yelling at the nurses and the doctor. You could hear everything. And I remember the nurse coming to give me like more morphine or whatever it was.
Let's make sure he doesn't hear this.
Hey, so sorry about that. I'm like, I'm fine. Just give me something to be amused about, I guess. Keep me entertained, because this sucks being here. But it just, there's so many things about it. Maybe one day I'll write like some book. Just how heroic. It was tragic, but yet amusing, and then I can look back on it and laugh about a lot of it, minus the pain.
So was it wired shut for the full 6 weeks?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so...
I bet you that felt so good. What's the first thing you ate when you got that thing off?
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal?
Well, yeah,
Really?
because
So
like,
I couldn't have anything...
like you couldn't just bite into an apple.
Yes. So that was... I don't remember.
Like
was it
how
12
long
weeks,
before-
I think,
another 12
before you could start like chewing on something that was like hard. There's definitely no nuts or anything like that.
Right.
Because it's still healing,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But yeah, my thing was like I wanted just oatmeal, just something like oatmeal. And but when my mouth was wired shut, I was grinding up with immersion blender or whatever that thing is. I was like, I'd do scrambled eggs, and I'd get it to work and get through the straw. And so I ate a lot of that. But then when I went back on tour... So
you sucked scrambled eggs through a straw? That sounds terrible.
Through one of those... It worked, but it was like those silicone straws that were kind of bending. So you kind of like, if I got it way in the back, I could get it through. I couldn't get it through my tooth, but I could get it way in the back of my throat and just eat it that way. Right. But when I went back on tour to finish up the next 2.5 weeks of the tour we had with Five for Fighting, there were no options like that. So it was literally like I had cases of the protein shakes. Yeah. And I would just eat that the whole time. And then one gig, when we finally came back, I think it was the last date of the tour, we were in Bay City. I think it was Bay City. And we were friends with the club, the guys that own this club, because we play there all the time. And they had a kitchen, and it's like, what would you want? What could you eat? I'm like, give me something with salt. I want something with salt in it, because everything was so sweet. Everything was all sweet.
Protein shakes,
just
like
sweet.
Strawberry or chocolate or vanilla. It's like, oh, and I want something savory.
Savory. So he made like the onion, French onion soup without the cheese on the top. And I just like, give me a whole thing of it. It was like, I was up here. It was so great. It was amazing.
I can imagine.
Just the salt after
you take for granted some things, and then you're like, finally I can have that's crazy.
But I mean, so that was that experience.
Yeah.
So when you got done with that, were you done with your tour then at that? So you were getting done with the tour at the same time as your jaw is healing. Yeah. So I was back on tour playing with my mouth wired shut. And I remember I practiced before I went back on. I was telling the guys in the band, like, I could still sing too. I just like, singing. And they shot it down. It's like, what happens with the pictures? Someone's going to see what's going on. You can't do that. So they took my mic away. So I played the show. It was fine. And then it was part of the show. Is your tooth still busted?
What's that?
Is your tooth still busted? Because I don't see it.
Good dentistry. Van Timmeren, go to him. He's in no, so they fixed that. But it was part of the show. So Brian, the lead singer, would make it a segment. Big thing. Here's Lou's back. He just and then it was we changed the story. Like I got into a bar brawl. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's you gotta do something cool somewhere. Yeah, not like I fell because I was just slipped on some rocks.
Yeah, I was trying to beat a young kid.
Trying to
and he showed me. He stuck his foot out.
Yeah. So it ended up being like a bar brawl. It was just funny, and we tried to make the best of it. But so it was 2.5 more weeks with my mouth wired shut, and then. Once we got back, it was like that following week they were taking all that contraption out of my mouth, and it was like finally get to brush my teeth.
I bet
that was like I can't imagine. Mouthwash. I mean, it was mouth. That's all I could do was mouthwash. Yeah, that just does not do the job. Mm-mm. I was like, I could just feel like the grit with my tongue in the back, and you just could not get it out. Yeah, and then just that first brush, it was like,
yeah. I bet that was great.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
So tell me a little bit about, and I think we touched on it a little bit at the beginning of the conversation about, being a musician and it's not really a real job or whatever. Yeah. And I look at bands and musicians and I'm like, man, these people are the true entrepreneurs. Like, you're building a business behind the platform of music.
Yeah. It's a persona. It's like you have the music as that's what you do, but when you're on stage and then you're in the public eye, especially nowadays with social media, people think they know you, which, I mean, sometimes is a bad thing too. Right. We've had some interesting situations with that, but it's a tough thing. It's a tough career to get into because the scrutiny. Yep. Because you're obviously being judged with everything you do. Yep. You have to have a thick skin, and then you have to be able to figure out what the next thing is that you're going to do. It's never like the job is done. Right. It's like that job is done. Now you start focusing on the next job. Now to get to whatever
Right.
the next phase of your career.
Do you
level.
feel like to when you're running that you have to, like, so this might be a touchy subject, but when it comes to politics and like these huge record labels and because you have your identity and you're like, this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
Because I know somebody that's ended up signing up with Capitol Records, and they didn't go very far. I mean, they weren't huge here, but then as soon as they signed up with Capitol, it substantially did something different for them. Like it went from I barely can afford gas to I got a mansion literally in Tennessee type of thing.
Yeah.
And I question if they really guide you. I really feel like they do. They guide you to maybe a type of thing that you're not trying to do or whatever.
Well,
maybe
it's the financial backing. So that's the main thing. And depending on the contract you get, so you have this business basically coming in. It's like, we like what you're doing, and most of it nowadays, if you are to get signed with a major deal, it's a development kind of deal. So we're going to put all this money into you for 2 records, 3 records, whatever. Let's see how it goes. You owe all that money back eventually, especially if the records don't sell or you get dropped.
Oh, wow.
And that's what happened with Verve Pipe. So I don't know the exact number, but I think it was $1 million they owed.
Oh, wow.
After they got dropped from, the money that was.
How do they make up for that? What did
The
they
kids'
do?
records paid back a lot of that, and the touring, there was a percentage that went back to the
Really?
investments of, people invested. But so record label comes in and invests in you, and if it doesn't become like a hit,
Right.
well, you bye-bye, and you owe us that back money.
Wow.
But if it becomes something and your contract is to your benefit, then you have, then it becomes a win for you and the record label.
do they let you have control over a lot of that?
It depends on if it's development, no. Development is like they're telling you exactly what to do. So basically you're an
Yeah.
employee.
Yeah.
You act like you're doing your own thing, but they're marketing your own. They're telling you how to write your music. They're telling you what you need to do to promote it. And they're basically, it's their monies. You're basically their employee.
Right.
And then,
And is there a lot of that?
oh yeah. Oh, that's it. I mean, that's why you're not seeing that, because of online, be able to listen to things free on Spotify and stuff like that. You're not seeing those kind of deals anymore.
Right.
Back in the 90s or even the 80s and stuff like that, or even before
That's all there was.
That's
That
all
was
there
the
was.
only way that people could make it.
That
in
was your only
business.
shot. Yeah.
But I really still believe, I don't know, and I'm not in the music industry, I still think that there will be a product or a person that comes out that says they'll be able to develop these people just as fast
Yeah.
and still achieve the same goal. If you're trying to make a living in music like you,
Yeah.
and you're just like, okay, I don't need necessarily Capitol, but Capitol Records or RCA, is that what
Yeah,
it was called?
RCA,
I don't necessarily need them, but I know that it could be a marketing firm
Yeah.
that says, hey, I'm really good and I can really push your brand and push what you do out there. You just
Yeah.
need a full-time videographer or whatever you may need.
Right.
And we can turn around and you could probably make $5 or $10 million a
Sure.
year. And that's huge compared to, and you still make a really good living. So you're kind of like locally famous.
Yeah. Well, the problem now with making money in music is that the percentage of what you get per play is like, it's
low.
0.001 cent
Oh, wow.
on a Spotify play. So you could have 10 million plays. Yeah. What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
$200.
Wow.
So you don't make money nowadays with plays. You make money with licensing your music
Okay.
for a TV show or a commercial or whatever. You make money playing live and selling merchandise.
Okay.
That's it.
Wow.
You don't make money with
It's really
And
changed.
social media,
I mean,
right?
well,
like if you
social
blow up your
media is-
TikTok, you're all of a sudden like,
Yeah,
okay.
well, you got to have I don't know what, like as YouTube, I think you got to have 70 or 80,000 subscribers before you start making an actual income from YouTube.
Right.
Where it's like a monthly thing or quarterly thing, but I don't know the exact number, but it's all about like, if you're an influencer and you have that following, then you have more push to like ask for something more, especially from sponsors and stuff like that.
So we've had a few influencers on here that they're doing it on a high level. They got a couple million followers or whatever,
Yeah.
and they've been on. And I can imagine and there's like one of them was basketball, and that's what he did. He's considered the best shooter on TikTok, but it was it's pretty cool.
Shooter, like actually shooting
basketball, and it's amazing to hear like the business side of that. And I think it's the same thing on your end. Is I think you have a whole business side of it, and things like when you said shooting TikTok with you running and all these things.
You're just trying to
that's
figure out the
dollars,
next thing.
right? Eventually, you got to look at that stuff as dollars.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is you don't know what it is.
Right.
And it's funny, we did a thing that went viral in a negative way when TikTok was first.
Is there such a thing, though?
Oh yeah. Well,
honestly,
you could say, well, it was negative because of the outcome that came from it, with getting basically threatened and stuff like that. But it was so silly. And it was during the pandemic, of course.
Of course, when everybody's
losing their crap.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And we decided to do, and it was at my house here in Granville, like where we rehearse, and 3 of us decided, like, we should do a parody a song of a Cheap Trick song, because we're friends with those guys, and let's do a parody of one of their songs about getting the vaccine. And it was funny. It was a funny. We changed the words around. It was called the song "Surrender," right? Surrender.
I'm not gonna lie, I love it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can see how you'd piss some people off.
At the time, we were laughing, having a great time. It's like, people are gonna love this, and it wasn't supposed to be like. I mean, we shot it in a way.
You're not doing a public service, Mo.
No, you're just trying to be funny about it, but yet kind of like, hey, this is. Because people aren't getting the vaccine, whatever, we're not able to play anywhere, that kind of stuff. And whatever. And everyone was doing the same kind of thing at the time, but we did that, posted it, and then it became viral in a negative way. And then a lot of famous people in our industry started chiming in on it too. And a lot of people that agreed with it and would share it. And the people that were sharing it were people that were really hating it. I mean, and then it got to the point like where there was a debate with people, and it didn't help that some of us were engaging in this debate when people were sending nasty comments. Yeah, and you tried to defend yourself, and it just got worse.
Right,
where people
you're
were
better off just
don't even say, or not even put anything up there. Well, it got to the point where we were.
So you regret it?
What's that?
You regret it, or you? Oh,
I did at a time. Yeah, because we were all getting friends that I know personally were emailing me, calling me, and basically saying, you're not going to tell me what to do with my body, that kind of stuff. And what gives you the right to tell us to do this? And it's like, it's just a parody song.
We're just having fun with it.
You can do what you want. And so there were threats and like, hey, we know where you're playing next and we want to talk to you. And it was like, do we need to hire private security? It got really bad where we ended up actually being defeated and pulling that video. I'm sure you could still, if someone wants to find it, they could find it online. But we ended up pulling it because it got so nasty. It got really nasty.
That's crazy.
So, that going back to the TikTok thing, it's just, you don't really know what's going to like trigger people in a good and bad way, I guess. And
well, in that point in time, everything was just so...
It was very negative.
Divisive and...
everybody loses their mind.
Just going crazy.
We're in a world where people aren't allowed to have their own opinions, which is the biggest downfall. I mean, if we're being honest, it has nothing to do with your beliefs or anybody else's beliefs. It's fine. I don't care. It's fine. It's fine if you're a Biden fan. It's fine if you're a Trump fan. It's fine. Yeah. It's okay. Calm down.
That's it. Just calm down.
We'll figure this out. We're in a world with people.
Yes. It was such a weird time going through that. And, I remember at the time going through that and kind of worrying more about my
your
girls.
Family. Yeah.
Right. Because if that happened when I was a kid,
which is ridiculous,
I would have been really freaking out as a kid. Like, what do you mean? We're stuck in our houses? That is so weird. Now,
how did they handle it?
I mean, they loved it because they didn't have to go back to school and they could just do everything online.
But what about the drama? Did they feel that?
I don't. Well, yeah. I mean, that our whole family did. We're getting it from family members too. It was.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
tough.
bad. I mean, it was so ridiculous. I still, when I think about it, it really kind of upsets me because these people were like friends. I mean, I still consider a lot of them friends,
Right.
but that they had to say something. I'm like,
Yeah.
God, just keep your mouth shut. It's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
But it like looking back on that, for me, it was a great time just to be off.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't been off like that since I was a kid,
Yeah.
And I found things to do, and we were going through a home renovation, and I was able to like do most of the work myself to save money, and
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
it kept my mind occupied, and we were just trying to figure out things to do on TikTok and social
Right.
media to play shows, and like all the other bands were doing the exact same
Yeah.
thing, and
Yeah.
it was like whatever you could do to stay kind of relevant while things are shut down, because that first year of that shutdown, we had a tour. We were scheduled to be on the Stern show. We were scheduled to do all this stuff and be in New York, and I think it went from like, because it was in February, right? When the lockdown first started, it was like that year was for summer, it was like 45, 50 shows. That whole year we played 5.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And there were weird ones, like one-offs here. Oh, let's fly to, Washington to play this class reunion.
Right. Yeah.
And it was
Right.
like weird stuff like that. And
Yeah.
So looking back at all that, like if somebody was to say, "Hey, I want to get into the music industry," because seriously, and your parents were like, your dad told you, like, this is something you do for a hobby. This isn't something you do for a career. What would you tell like a young person that's like, I really want to go after the music industry. I have a passion for this.
I think if you have that in you, I think you should go for it. But I think that you have to be realistic of what the expectations, what your expectations are going to be, because honestly, it's a tough business. Anything in entertainment, it's tough because you're competing with a lot of people, and it's become more of like a contest of talent. How do you judge a talent? I don't understand that, but it's really what society is now. It's everyone's judging you, and it doesn't even mean anything with the talent part of it. It could be the way you look.
Right.
Now, it's like you don't look the part, so we don't like you.
Yeah.
You
I don't
have
like
to
your
fall in
haircut.
line.
Yeah, I don't like your haircut, so
Yeah.
But I think as a former music teacher, I mean, I haven't. One of the things with COVID lockdown was one of my ways to retire from teaching, because I was doing that for 30-something years, like on and off. But I needed to move on, so that was kind of a way to like retire from that. But I had a lot of young kids and teenagers that wanted to really pursue it, and a few of them took off, and they're in Nashville doing great, and doing their thing. But I think you have to be realistic of what the world is and what to expect from especially financially. You're going to have a job that makes money, because especially initially, it's almost impossible unless you have some kind of backing from somebody. But again, you're going to have to owe that probably back.
Right.
So if it doesn't become successful, that's on you,
Yeah.
But I think if you have that passion, just like anything in life, I think you should go for it. But you should take take the lessons from someone like me or someone that's in your field that's done it, and go to them and ask them, well, what your advice would be for me to.
Would you be interested in doing any coaching with that?
I do that every once in a while. Yeah, I get asked all the time for like musicians in town that are just starting out or have a band. They're trying to figure out how to get to the next level. Not that I'm an expert, but I can see things
you've done a lot of crap.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that I see, even with Verve Pipe, which is a whole different thing. I mean, that's like there's management and there's booking agents and social media people. So that's a whole different. There's a whole team of that. But I see what they do, and I know like how it kind of works.
Right.
So if I was on my own trying to do something, I would know kind of which direction to go and what not to do. But yeah, I love talking to people about that. If just reach out to me for sure if anyone wants to.
Yeah, well, in a little bit we'll give your contact, whatever contact information you want to get. Yeah, absolutely. So like if you were to do that again, would you still do the music industry? Would you still do exactly what you have done?
That's all I really know. So it's hard. That's a hard question because, early on, I wanted to become a doctor. And people laughing. But most of my
so you can wire people's jaws up.
Yeah, that's my own jaw. No, all my cousins and stuff all became like doctors and stuff like that. So I thought that was going to be my thing, and music was just going to be just what I did for fun. Yeah. But then I realized I wasn't good at school. So that didn't work. Right. But then the music bug, hooked into me, and but I just don't see. I do a lot of other things. I went to school I have a technical degree, so I can fix electronic things, and that was going to be my backup plan. I was going to be. I went to school to learn how to fix. This was early '90s, to be a repair tech for fixing. Those printers, the dot matrix printers.
Oh yeah.
So I was getting trained for that, and that's I thought, because there was a lot of jobs back then for that, and then one thing led to another, and I never ended up doing anything with that. I still have that knowledge, so I use it to fix amps and gear, stuff like that. They're music related, and my own stuff, but I don't know what I would do. Cool.
So you've been pretty successful just doing what you're doing with the music.
I got to give it up to like the people that have helped me and encouraged me. Obviously my mom and stuff like that, but my wife.
Yes.
Early on, before like I really started making a decent income with it. Yeah. It was like, hardly anything coming in on my end, but my wife was the one with the steady job and still has a steady job. Right. She takes care of our insurance and stuff like that, so I don't have to worry about that. But it was tough early on, especially with little girls, like two little babies. When I'm on tour trying to make something of myself, and I'm playing shows.
Well, and that's every parent's dream, to have their daughter bring home a musician. So tell me about that.
Oh yeah. Well, Rebecca's parents. Who are pastors in Hudsonville here. There was quite an issue there when we first started dating, and I'm sure all you can imagine. And then a musician to say, and then someone that later on that plays at Daybreak Church. That was another issue because
it's a different kind of
thing, So we're great now. Yeah, we're great. The family's great. They love me. I love them. They're great. But it was tough at first.
Sure, it was stressful.
And we did the thing that you're not supposed to do, and that's like live together before you're married.
Right.
Yeah. That was a big one. Yeah. Of course, that was big with my mom, who but she was still very supportive the whole time. And, but the musician thing, that's a no-no. But
I'm glad that they love you.
Now
you're a pretty lovable guy.
Yeah, I know. I think I am.
Well, I know I enjoyed having you on, and it's been really good.
Oh my gosh, it's been great.
We do have a segment of our show. Well, let's do this first. Yeah. How if somebody wants to get a hold of you? Yeah. And let's say they want to get some coaching, or they want to ask for some advice. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Obviously I'm on like social media and stuff like that. So just Lou Musa. Okay. But I have a website. That's easy now. It's just loumusa.com.
Okay. And they can reach you through that?
Yeah, they can reach me through there. And, it has my email and all that stuff. So
that's perfect.
Yeah, you can reach me through there, and I'd love to talk to you and stuff like that.
And highly, if you guys want to get in the music industry, just kind of getting to know him, he's definitely, I would take advantage of that without a doubt.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I have no problem talking to anybody about it and giving advice and stuff like that. And,
that's great. Well, this is the part of our show where we do something unique, and I don't know if you've watched our previous episodes.
I have, yes.
With the message in the bottle. And a previous person has wrote down a message. We don't even know what it is.
Oh, physically written it down.
Physically written it down. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that bottle in the middle, and you're going to pop that cork. Okay. And you're going to read the message in it. We don't even know what it is. That's the cool part. So we're always kind of intrigued to see what's up.
Okay.
Hopefully it just comes right out.
Hopefully it's really something challenging and hard, right?
I don't know about that. Okay. Do I read it out loud?
Read it out loud and then answer it.
I have glasses here. What advice would you give to a young business owner about finding, keeping, and maintaining balance in their life? Not overworking, basically. I mean, I'm kind of in search for that too. Yeah. That could have been a question I gave to somebody else. I think for me, it's knowing when to say no to a project.
That's good.
I think, I mean, I think all of us are guilty, especially when you're into something that you take everyone that comes to you, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Oh yeah, I love to do it. And then you start doing it and like, oh man, this is so much work.
There's only so many hours in a day.
So many hours, yes. And that, I guess for me, like being comfortable with saying no.
You know what's funny is right before the show we were talking with Derek, and we were saying he was talking about 5 characteristic traits of some of those highly successful people in history, and that's what he said. He goes, the number one was saying no.
Yep. And it's believe me, it's the hardest thing ever when someone's asking you to do something that's in your wheelhouse,
right?
And it's like,
because opportunity comes from saying yes.
And that's the thing, and it's almost at least in my industry, the more you say no, the more people will not come back at you, and they'll basically say, oh, he's too busy to work with us. And you don't ever want that.
Right.
You always want to be there if someone really needs you. But it's a tough one. But if I try to do that, I'm not very successful, but I wish I could do that more.
Well, you've helped us out, we appreciate it. Yeah.
This is easy, just talking about myself.
Why don't you make
I
the
can do
sound
that all
for
the
us?
time.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Good.
now it's your turn. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take that piece of paper out of that book there.
Okay.
And you're going to write a question for the next guest.